Welcome back to DMC TV Live. If you've ever been to a market, you know we have VIPs strolling around the market center all the time. And especially for a Western show, Shaley Ham of West Desperado is certainly that person. Shaley, your following on Instagram and all social platforms is incredible. What you've done for the Western industry is awesome. Thank you for being in Dallas today.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I wouldn't consider myself a VIP. I'm here just kind of observing like everyone else. I think it's just such a great time to be here.
Well, we definitely love seeing what you find throughout the marketplace that you think is trendy and going to be one of the leading trends as we go into fall and winter, not to mention spring and summer of 2022. Visit just a little bit about West Desperado and how it came to be. If I'm not mistaken, I think you're in your 5th year.
Yes.
And I've been following you for 5 years, and I've seen your following grow and grow and grow. So visit about West Desperado and what that means to you.
Well, it's so funny because the whole thing just kind of started as a passion project. I work in the corporate world, and so this was just my creative outlet to share my outfits. I go to rodeos, concerts, and so I was just wanting to share the things I was kind of coming up with, my style, my fashion, where other people can find those as well. And it's just completely grown from there, unexpectedly. But I have like this following that just keeps showing up for me and they're supportive of me. And so I try to be there just as much for them.
Yes, and I can say you absolutely are. I know that your background and your passion definitely lends itself to the Western industry, but where did this passion ignite for the Western fashion scene?
Yeah, so I think a lot of people are familiar with, but some might not know. I come from a rodeo family. I ride horses, but I don't rodeo myself, but my mom competed at the NFR a few years back, and so it's just the Western life has been something I've been in my whole life, basically. I haven't always been really committed and dug into like the Western fashion, but once I kind of figured out that was my niche and like my passion, I've just kind of head first and went all in.
Yes, and here we are.
Yeah.
You work with so many brands all throughout the country, not only brands, but many boutiques, and I know so many of them will be here at Market this week.
Yes.
And I know so many girls, and me alike, are dying to know how big your closet is.
So what might surprise a lot of people is I actually live in a camp trailer, but recently I was able to get a shed that is completely dedicated to my closet and my office. So I have a 10 by 20 shed that I've converted, have the clothing racks, the boot racks, and so it's just my little oasis. And I'll be showing that more on my Instagram here shortly.
Well, speaking of your Instagram, and you mentioned it earlier, your followers just continue to increase. You garner so many new friends, I feel like, on social media weekly. Why do you think that is?
Well, the thing with social media and Instagram, it's always just a highlight reel and really curated feed. So something that people are always searching for is that the originality and like your true self, being vulnerable, authenticity. Mm-hmm. Sorry, I'm stuttering.
No, yes.
And so I think being able to encompass that and just be vulnerable to your audience, I still struggle with day-to-day things. I work a full-time job, but I'm still pursuing this. And I think just being able to relate to people on just that basic level gets overlooked so often, but that's really what people are wanting.
Well, and speaking of that, you help and give advice to so many brands and retailers on your social media platforms about how they can be better at social media. So if you had just a couple quick tips, what would you suggest to them?
For me, something that's really helped is don't be afraid of change. Instagram, like all the social media platforms, they're constantly changing. And if you're so stuck in your ways, you're kind of going to get left in the dust. And so right now, video content is really popular. So if you haven't taken advantage of that yet, I'd highly suggest it. I kind of did a trial run and I posted a video a week, every day for a week, and I grew like 2,000 followers in the course of like the following week.
Right.
So, I mean, that's really getting pushed out there. So if you're finding yourself at a plateau, just change it up and see what works and don't be afraid to fail.
Yeah, and risk. You take a little bit of risk, but the reward was really great. If you could only grab 2 things in your closet and you were leaving and not coming back for quite some time, what would those 2 items be?
They would have to be, as many hats as I could like stack on my head because I hardly ever leave the house without a hat on. And then probably some jackets that I've gotten out of my mom's closet because those are just have that sentimental value.
Okay. You come to Dallas. You've been to Dallas here quite a few times. What keeps you coming back to Market, and what do you enjoy about being here?
The reason I really love being here is just the camaraderie, like seeing all the people, both the buyers and, Dallas Market Center, the hosts, everyone is just so great that I've met. People getting excited about the things that are to come, all the trends. And I just also really like being able to show some of my audience who don't typically get to see this side of the business, they're usually the ones shopping, but how does that end up at their favorite retailer? So I love being able to share that with them and just get to show the behind the scenes.
Yeah, that's such a great point. Well, and not to mention, if you are a follower of Dallas Market Center, in their last issue of Spark Magazine, they did a very large spread on Shaley Ham and West Desperado. So you're a dear friend to Dallas Market Center. Thank you for continuing to come back and showing all the positive light that DMC has.
Yes, of course. I'm so honored to be able to keep coming back.
Okay, well, you've got some sourcing to do, and you got to go check out all kinds of stuff, so I'll let you get to it.
I do. Thank you so much.
We'll be back in just a moment.